Welcome to the Totally Online Gaming Group YouTube channel. We're glad you could join us for episode 4 of my Dungeons & Dragons for Beginners series. In the last episode, I walked you through building a character in D&D Beyond. In this episode, we're going to walk through an example combat. But before we do, be sure to hit the subscribe button and type subscribed in the comments below, and I'll do my best to respond to each and every one of you that does. So let's get into our topic for today. So here we have our D&D Beyond character sheet. It's the character that we made in the previous episode. Example character. Yeah, I know, a little lame, but hey, we're going to move on from that. So we made this character, and now this character is going to be involved in a combat. So, the Dungeon Master is going to tell you and your party members to roll for initiative. Well, if you look right here in the middle, you'll see on your D&D Beyond character sheet, you have this value here that says initiative above it. In this case, if you're not playing in D&D Beyond, you will take a 20-sided die, you will roll that, and then add the number that is listed under initiative to your value. That will give you your total number. The Dungeon Master will now place these numbers in order from highest to lowest. The highest number gets to go first, and then down the list it goes. Each character or enemy will get their turn based on their number. And once everyone has gone once, that is a complete round of combat. And then it will start back over from the top. Well, what if I roll the same number as someone else? Well, the Dungeon Master will then arbitrate who gets to go first, usually looking at who has a higher dexterity modifier. Or if those numbers are the same, a higher actual dexterity score. If those numbers are the same as well, then many times they'll have you roll another dice and see who gets the higher number, and keep going until somebody wins. If it keeps being ties, well, you might be rolling for a while. But eventually, someone will end up with the higher number overall, and that will determine, out of those that had the same initiative roll, which one of them goes first. So here, in D&D Beyond, let's go ahead and roll our initiative. Hey, look at that! Right off the bat, a natural 20. That bodes well for our character, because typically, going before the enemy is a good thing. So let's take a look at the battlefield. So here in our example combat, we've got our example character. Make yourself known, friend. There he is, wiggling around. And we also have our enemy over here, our little crocodile. Now I'm going to roll the initiative roll for the crocodile to see if he gets a higher number. Well, not surprisingly, since I rolled a 20 on the 20-sided die for example character, the crocodile rolled lower. So our example character gets the benefit of going first. Now, as we talked about in episode 2 of this series, there are several things you can do on your turn of combat. So let's take a look at what things our example character can do during this combat. So here we see example character's character sheet in D&D Beyond. You'll notice this window here that has actions, inventory, features and traits, description, notes, and extras. In this window, it shows us what actions we can take during combat. So right now we have actions selected, and I can look at the different kinds of actions. We can take an action and a bonus action on our turn. Additionally, we can do movement, which if I look up here at the top, I can see my speed is 30 feet. So I could move 30 feet, I can then take an action and a bonus action. That would be what I can do on my turn. So let's see what our example character, who is only level 1 right now, can do on their turn. So for their actions, I can take the attack action. And it shows me my actions. Attacks per action is 1. At higher levels, depending on what class I've chosen, or what special feats I've taken, I can actually attack more than once per action. But in this case, I just get 1 attack per action. So I choose, what weapon am I going to use? Well, in our case, we want to use our longsword. We're a knight after all. We have our big longsword, our shield, and our heavy armor, and we're going to charge into battle and fight up close with the enemy. So I'm going to click on this +5 that I have to hit. It rolls my d20. Oh my goodness, look at this. I am getting really lucky with this character. He may win the fight pretty quick. I rolled another natural 20. Why is that important, you might ask? This is my first time playing D&D. I don't get it. What's so good about a natural 20? Well, when you are making some kind of attack and you roll a natural 20, you have just achieved what is called a critical hit. And a critical hit means that your damage increases a lot. Notice what has happened to the numbers for my damage. In D&D Beyond, it automatically figured it out for me. I've got 2 choices. This one here that says 2d8 plus 3 is if I was using my longsword one-handed. This one says 2d10 plus 3. That's if I was using it two-handed. Well, because I have my shield in one hand, my sword is in the other, and I'm only using it one-handed. But D&D Beyond, because I rolled that natural 20, already knew that I should do more damage. My normal damage for my longsword would be 1d8 plus 3. But because I got a critical hit, it doubles the amount of dice that I get to roll, while leaving the modifier at the end the same. So I get to click on this, and now see how much damage I did. Wow, lucky number 7s. Look at that. 2 7s plus 3. I did 17 points of damage in that one turn. That's pretty good. So that was my attack action. Now, since my roll, which was a critical hit, which another thing about those is critical hits always hit. If you roll a natural 20 when you are making an attack, it doesn't matter what the enemy's armor class is, you automatically hit. So, since I hit and I had a natural 20, I got that 2d8 plus 3 damage, which in this case was 17. Pretty awesome. But now, what do I do with that information? The Dungeon Master will then apply that amount of damage to the enemy. He will look at their maximum hit points. If you notice, mine are currently only 12, and he will subtract the amount of damage that I dealt from that enemy's hit points. If it takes them down to 0, well, we'll get to that in a little bit. So that's one thing I can do. I can do an attack as part of an action. Other things I can do as actions are listed here. Actions in combat. Attack. That's what I just did. Cast a spell. Dash. Disengage. Dodge. Grapple. Help. Hide. There's a long list over here of things I can do. That's good to know. And what each of these things does, well, if you click on it, it will open up the information in D&D Beyond and tell you what that action actually means. Okay. But what if I'm not using D&D Beyond? Well, we did go over terminology in episode 2 of this series, so be sure to go back and check that, where we cover a lot of the basic terminology. We don't go into all of it because there is so much, but we did cover a lot of it. So here's the thing. I will be providing a terms list. It's not one that I created myself. I found it online, but it's really good. And I'll put a link to that website in the comments below. You really got to check it out. It's got a lot of great terms, good terminology to use, and that will help you. Now, I always recommend going to D&D Beyond and using their website, because when you build your character, all of that stuff is right there at your fingertips. Like I said, you can click right on this, and it tells you what that action actually means. It gives you all the little rules about it. Now, besides an action, you also get a bonus action on your turn. So, what are my bonus actions? For this character, I've got two things that I can do as bonus actions. One of the bonus actions I can take is two-weapon fighting. But I'm fighting with a sword and a shield. I don't have two weapons. This is if you have two weapons, because this character could choose to pick up two weapons. And if I click on this two-weapon fighting, it gives me a description of how that all works, which basically says if I am wielding two light weapons, one in each hand, I can attack with my main weapon, and then I can use a bonus action to attack with the other one. Pretty neat. Another thing that this character can do as a bonus action is Second Wind. This is an ability tied to their class. Depending on what level and what class I am, I may get lots of other things that fall under the category of bonus actions. But as a level 1 fighter, which is what example character is, these are my only bonus actions that I currently have. So on my turn, I can do three things. I can move using my walking speed. I can use an action, which is either attack or any of these others that are listed. And I can use a bonus action. Now, there is one other type of thing that can be done during a turn. Or I should say, more specifically, during the round of combat. That's called a reaction. A reaction is something that can be done based on a triggering event. For example, the enemy moving away from the area right around you when they are engaged with you in combat. If they just try to run away from you, well, that triggers what's called an attack of opportunity, or an opportunity attack. In that case, you could say, I'm going to use my one reaction this round to go ahead and take a swing at them with my weapon. Additionally, if you have anything else that is considered a reaction, it will be listed in D&D Beyond under this reaction. For our first level example character, we have fighting style protection. So while I'm wielding a shield and a creature I can see attacks a target other than myself, that is within 5 feet, or basically right next to you, I can use my reaction to make it harder for that creature to hit my friend. So now, let's take a look at what's been going on. So here's example character. In this first round of combat, we initially rolled initiative. Initiative determined who went first. Our little friend here, example character, give us a twirl. Ta-da! Rolled a natural 20 for his initiative. Our crocodile, unfortunately, did not roll very high. So example character got to go first. And what did he do? He moved in and then attacked. Now, with that attack, we saw him do 17 points of damage. So now the crocodile loses 17 points from their hit points. But now, I have used everything that really makes sense during this turn. I've used my movement, I've used my action, and my bonus actions really don't apply at this point in time. I don't have a second weapon, so I can't do two-weapon fighting. And my other bonus action skill, well, we won't go into it right now, but it doesn't apply in this instance either. So I've basically done everything I can do. Now it's the enemy's turn. So the enemy will do similar to what I've done. They will choose what they want to do. Do they want to move? Okay. Do they want to attack? Do they want to use some other ability? Well, let's say this enemy just simply wants to attack me. Haha, it goes to attack. It rolls a 1d20 plus its attack bonus to see if it gets a value that is equal to or higher than my character's armor class. Looking at my character's armor class, I see that I have an 18 armor class. That's pretty good. So now we need to see what did the enemy roll, and is that roll high enough to equal or exceed my armor class. So I'm going to simply roll a 1d20. Nope, he rolled a 7 on the d20. Unless he's got an 11 or higher for his attack bonus, that is not going to hit. So we'll assume that the crocodile did not actually hit you. Or in this case, example character. So now that enemy can choose if it wants to use a bonus action, if that's appropriate. Well, in this case, we'll say that the bonus action is not appropriate, so it is finished with its turn. Being that there's only us two, example character and the crocodile, and both of those characters involved in this combat have gone, the round is now complete, and we start again from the beginning of that initiative order, the highest number first, and then moving down. So example character, once again, gets their turn. So here we're going to roll in Tailspire for this one. Going to roll the d20. Oh, the dice went very far away. Oh, but look, I rolled a 19. So that will hit our friend the crocodile. It is not a natural 20, so it is not a critical hit. So in this case, I'm only going to roll 1d8 plus 3. Because 1d8 is my normal longsword damage, and the plus 3 is my modifier. So I got a 5 on the die, plus my 3, I do 8 damage to this crocodile. Oh, this one right here. Shabank, we hit him. So now I'm going to subtract 8 more hit points from its health. At that point, once again, I have decided I'm not going to use a bonus action. I don't need to. It doesn't really apply, and we're doing okay. It is now the crocodile's turn. Well, now the crocodile is severely hurt. It decides to run away. Run away! In doing so, it has provoked that attack of opportunity by attempting to leave the area where I was able to hit it when it was in a direct combat with me. So as it tries to move away, I get to attempt one more time to attack it by using my reaction. So I will roll once more to see if I can hit him. Ooh, that's a pretty low roll, an 8. I might not hit him with that. It depends on his armor class. And my bonus. My bonus is plus 5, so that's a 13. The question is a 13 equal to or higher than his armor class? If it is, I would once again roll my 1d8 plus 3 for damage. hey, what do you know? Another 5. If it wasn't, well, then I'd miss. Combat continues on, typically until one side or the other is either taken to 0 health, or they give up, or negotiate a truce, or whatever your dungeon master decides is the ending point for the conflict. So let's look at one example. Let's say the fight hasn't been going so well for me. Let's take a look at what would happen if I started getting hit too much. So let's say I'm not doing too well in this combat, and the crocodile actually bites me, doing 12 points of damage. I would subtract that from my hit points. Now, in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, when you get to 0 hit points, then you enter what is called death saving throws. As a note, your hit points never go negative. Even if the crocodile had done 15 points of damage, that basically means it takes me to 0. When you enter death saves, in other words, your hit points have gone to 0, on your turn, you will roll 1d20. Just the 1d20. There are no bonuses, there are no negatives. However, if you get less than a 10, that is considered a failure. If you get a 10 or above, that is considered a success. You keep doing this each time it is your turn until you either get 3 successes, meaning that you stay alive, or 3 failures, meaning your character is officially dead. So let's take a look at this. I have currently gone to 0 hit points. I can have up to 3 failures. Once I hit that, I'm dead, or up to 3 successes. If I get that, I'm stable, I'm alive, but I'm at 0 hit points. I'm basically lying there, just existing. So I'm going to roll my death save. So, come over here, and I'm going to roll my d20. Aha, a 17. That's 1 success. That's a good thing to start. But then when my turn comes around, I have to roll again. And you keep doing this, as I mentioned. Uh-oh, a 3. There's a failure. Until you have 3 successes or 3 failures. Now, if you are in a party with other players, this can really save you. Because I can come out of this scenario by either getting 3 successes, or if somebody heals me using healing magic or a healing potion, or maybe a skill or ability that is going to give me some hit points back. Even if it's only 1 hit point, ta-da! I am no longer having to roll death saving throws. The other thing that can get you out of death saving throws is when you are rolling death saving throws, if you roll a 20 on the 20-sided die, you've got a critical success, and you automatically get 1 hit point. So you come right out of it with 1 hit point, even though somebody else didn't heal you. The last thing to note when you're dealing with death saves is if you get a natural 1 on the d20, that is going to cause 2 failures automatically. So that's kind of dangerous. Don't be rolling those natural 1s. That also goes for if you are hit while you already are in this condition. If an enemy hits you, that will automatically cause you to take 2 failures. So let's say our friend the crocodile bit me for 12 points of damage, putting me in this condition. And then I had a failure on my turn. And then their turn came up again. And they bit me again. I would now have 3 failures, and my character is now dead. Hard thing to deal with. But sometimes character deaths happen. Anyway, that's some basics of combat, back and forth. The actions you can take, all of the different types, your movement, your bonus action, your reaction, attacking, all those things, and then the order of how things work in the combat. Hope you enjoyed this video, hope it was helpful, and hope to see you next time in our next episode of Dungeons & Dragons for Beginners. Bye, everybody.